Today we're looking at 5 important tips when you're drinking red wine. Stay tuned, plus a cocktail at the end. Welcome to Common Man Cocktails. I'm Derek Schomer. Today we're going to talk about 5 great red wine tips. Why red specifically? A, they work great in cocktails. 2, they taste good. And C, I like red wines. I actually got started in wines before I got started in spirits. It was kind of like my gateway. So some of the things I want to talk about today that could be extremely important, especially if you're new to drinking red wine, is aged and aging wines. What's aeration? What are sulfates? How do you get headaches, and are they from sulfates? I also want to talk a little bit about undervalued wines and a cool cocktail that will add value to your wine experience. Aging a wine doesn't make it taste better. Sure, a small period of time can soften your tannins. There are specific wines, French Bordeaux's, that are built and designed for long-term aging. But if you take a bad wine and you age it for 10 years, you get a 10-year-old bad wine. A lot of red wines, probably the bulk of red wines, especially the ones you might be experiencing, are meant to actually drink young. You get fresh, crisp flavors, some fruitiness at the back end. It's just an overall lovely experience. If you really want to age it, throw it in a wine fridge for 3-6 months, then drink it. But you're saying, Derek, the price of a bottle of wine goes up the longer you age it. It must be getting better. A lot of the reasons the value of a wine goes up with age is because it becomes more rare. Because people are drinking it, and you're not. It's going to be more expensive later than it is today. So today we partnered up with Lady & Home to aerate our wine to make it taste better now, which will help in your cocktails, which will help in your wine tasting experiences. Aeration is kind of key. So the way an aerator works is it applies air and oxidation into your wine as it's being poured. You hold it over your glass, you pour your wine, you're ready to go. The Lady & Home comes with a little filter. This little guy here, this little filter, great if you have an aged wine that has gained sediment over time. That sediment's bitter. What you don't want is you don't want it in your glass of wine, especially if you're serving it to guests. So this helps trap those bitters. It also breaks it to pieces so you can clean it easy. I like easy cleaning. I like easy cleaning more important than mostly anything because I hate cleaning. So if it's easy, my life is easier. And you've got a nice little stand for it to go into, so when you're done pouring your wine, which we'll do in a second, you can stand it in something so it doesn't leak all over the table. So what I did is I selected 3 wines. I'm only going to need one of them, but I have a hard time buying a single bottle of wine. It's sort of like guitars. When I start to buy a guitar, I buy 2 and 3 and 4 and I have no money left. So I think I'm going to open this La Maltita Grenache 2015 Rioja. Let's do it. That wasn't that impressive. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pour myself some of this wine in a nice big red wine glass. It's nice burgundy color. I'm going to rinse and get my mouth, get those tannins right in my mouth, neutralize it so it doesn't taste like whatever you already ate. You can also try using saltines to neutralize your palate. And then I'm going to aerate this specific one. Look at that swirling. It's like a tornado, allowing all that oxygen to be infused into your red wine. It's designed so that the red wine doesn't spill all over the place, which is helpful. But you'll see there's some drips coming out of here. So the first thing I'm going to do, put it on the stand. Done! So there are plenty of aerators that you can go out and buy. The reason you want to go out and buy the Lady & Home, the link is below. It's on the screen if you want to type it in. You could just click below, but if you're on a TV, that might be more difficult. The reason is I got these guys to give us a discount. So instead of paying $29.99 for an aerator, you're paying $19.95. Which is pretty friggin' awesome. But you have to click the link below to get it, otherwise you're gonna pay standard price. Why would you pay standard price on something I'm telling you should get, especially as a wine drinker or a new wine drinker? You should always get the best price. Stainless steel, acrylic materials with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you don't like it, just return it. Aeration removes the volatile compounds from your red wines. You could try it for a white wine, but they usually don't have the tannin structure that you need to be able to remove. So tannins are the things that come from the roots, the stems, the grape skins. The color of red wine comes through the grape skin itself. And it brings along a lot of the tannin structure. Tannins tend to be a little bit bitter. So if you want to remove some of the bitterness, you add oxygen, which dissipates and evaporates a lot of the compounds, including alcohol, including tannins, and including sulfites. And if you have drank any red wine, a lot of the concern comes around these sulfite things. Right here in the bottle of wine, it says contains sulfites. they're adding sulfites. What does that mean? Wait a second. So oxidation is going to remove a little bit of that alcohol ethanol burn you might get from the nose. It's going to remove a little bit of that bitter tannin structure, and it's going to help to dissipate those sulfites, which could give you like a burnt matchstick type taste. This is the non-aerated version. This Grenache is it's got a fruit-forward berry component, almost like a raspberry strawberry, a lot of dryness, and a little bit of alcohol. First thing that's kind of curious is the aerated one brings more, almost like a raspberry component to the nose, where this has a little bit more alcohol to it. It's kind of gathering at the top of the glass. I do have a nice wide opening to help dissipate some of it, which is why red wine glasses tend to be more obnoxious in size, because the wines themselves tend to be more bold. This doesn't have as much alcohol component to it, a little bit more berry. The dryness is actually a little bit tame. Yeah, this almost feels like it is a little bit more dry, which it could just be that it's distracting from the alcohol. Alcohol forward flavor. This definitely has a lot more of an alcohol robustness. It's bold. This beverage is both fruity and dry. It's like a Pinot Noir meets a Merlot Cab type blend. It's very interesting. The purpose of the Lady in Home Aerator is to bring as much oxygen to all the liquid around that red wine. If you just leave the wine in the glass, the surface area is getting oxygen, but the rest of the product, which is probably more than on the surface, is not reaching oxygen, so it's taking a while for it to naturally flow through the glass. This aggravates the wine and allows more oxygen to hit it as it's pouring out, rather than just straight pouring into your glass. You're creating agitation. You're stirring it up without needing to actually put it into a blender. The best wines to aerate are going to be those strong, bold flavored wines that come at you with a little bit of aggression, and you just want to tame them a little bit. By bringing that alcohol down, you allow the fruits and the terroir to kind of play its part. So what's the deal with sulfites? Why do you need to remove sulfites? Sulfites are used by winemakers in the general food industry to help preserve. It has antioxidants and antibacteria to keep your wine fresh for longer. If your wine has more than 10 parts per million of sulfites added, it needs to be on the label that says contains sulfites. Sulfites are also natural to the fermentation process, so you're going to have sulfites anyway. You just might not have additional ones added. And if you're a wine drinker or know any wine drinkers, one of the issues they talk about is, those sulfites give me such a headache, and so I gotta get stuff that doesn't contain sulfites so I don't get a headache. Dude! You're gonna get a headache because you're drinking a bottle of wine, and you're probably not hydrating between glasses. I have a video all about hangovers. It's not the sulfites, man. It's the fact that you're just drinking too much. It's alcohol. But red wine can have anywhere from 160 parts per million to 400 parts per million in a super sweet red. But guess what? Dried apricots can have up to 3,000 parts per million. If you're gonna get a headache from sulfites, you're gonna have a massive hangover from dried fruit. So you have your Lady in Home Aerator. You need to pick a bottle of wine, one that is going to be clutch for aeration. Here's the trick. Don't buy the trendy stuff. If you saw it in a movie, don't buy it. I bought these 3 bottles of wine for $25. How did I do it? One of the ways is I got this on sale. This wine cost me $7. I could buy an 83-point wine, barefoot, for $6.29. Or I could get an 88 to 89-point wine for $1 more. And the easiest way to do it is to stop going to the category labeled California and France and start hitting up Israel, Spain, Portugal. There are some great wines, great value wines with an 89 to 90 point score for under $15. The problem is nobody knows they exist. And because nobody knows they exist, retail sells them for a lower price because they want to get the sale. Yet, if one of those gets mentioned by, Nicolas Cage or is put in a movie like Sideways, it's going to become an instant hit and it's going to cost you 3 times that price. That's just stupid. Stop buying your expensive Pinot Noirs and your French Bordeaux's just because your buddy says it's the best wine on the planet. You can get some really fantastic wines for a quarter of the price. 3 bottles instead of 1. It helps widen your palate by having 3 different styles of varieties to choose from. Plus, they're probably going to come out better in a cocktail. So let's make a quick cocktail. So this cocktail is called a New York Sour. It's 2 ounces of bourbon, a ½ ounce of lemon, a ½ ounce of simple syrup, 1 egg white, and 1 ounce of red wine. Something fruity. So let's do this. You can either dry shake it, there's a video up there on a little bit more on that, or shake it really aggressively. 1 ounce of red wine. Look at those bubbles. You could see the aeration happening. Add that to your cocktail. The New York Sour. I love the little color. It's like it's all the bubbles in the wine kind of competing together and raining down in a waterfall. It's like a whiskey sour with a little bit more dry tart berry. So what you need to do now is go to Lady and Home, hit the link below, pick up an aerator for a little bit under 20 bucks. It's gonna be great for topping off your cocktails, building sangrias and other cocktails that you don't necessarily have the time, patience, or inclination to do a full large decanting in a big glass. And that, my friends, that's how you do wine. That's how you do a wine cocktail. Right now, what I need you to do is click the subscribe button, check out one of the 2 videos that's over there. That way you can gain more insight and knowledge into both cocktails, alcohol, spirits, reviews. Let's just face it, the channel has a lot of great content that you can start consuming today, so choose your own adventure. That's it, my friends. We're teaching you how to drink.